The television's soft murmur filled my living room as I sat in my burgundy armchair, the one I'd purchased with my first retirement check after Thomas passed away 17 years ago. The aroma of apple pie drifted from the kitchen, and outside, the autumn sun was beginning to set. This was my peaceful hour, when I could simply exist without serving anyone's needs. The front door burst open with such force that the walls seemed to shake. I didn't need to look up. I recognized those heavy footsteps immediately. Marcus stormed in like a tornado, my daughter Valencia trailing behind him with grocery bags weighing down her arms. Her posture spoke volumes, shoulders hunched, eyes fixed on the floor, as though she were apologizing for merely existing. I remained still, my attention on the evening news. Marcus positioned himself directly in front of the screen, deliberately blocking my view. He let out that familiar dismissive snort, the one he always made when he found me relaxing. His hand shot out, grabbed the remote from the side table, and jabbed the power button. The screen died instantly. "Move to your bedroom, old lady," he barked, his voice dripping with contempt. "I've got the playoffs starting. This living room belongs to me now." The silence that followed was suffocating. I could hear his shallow, entitled breathing, as if his words had somehow granted him ownership. Very slowly, I shifted my gaze toward Valencia. She stood frozen in the kitchen doorway, her knuckles bone white against the shopping bag handles. Our eyes locked. I waited, prayed, really, for her to say something. Anything. "Don't speak to my mother that way. This is her house." Instead, Valencia dropped her gaze and began fussing with one of the bags, pretending something inside needed immediate attention. That small gesture cut deeper than any insult Marcus could hurl. His shouting was just noise. My daughter's silence? That was betrayal. A strange calm washed over me then, not anger, not hurt, just crystalline clarity. 38 years working at the county clerk's office had taught me one fundamental truth: words are wind, but documents are iron. I stood up. My knees cracked in the silence, the sound like a gavel striking wood. Marcus had already sprawled across my couch, unbuttoning his collar and cracking open a beer without so much as glancing my way. In his mind, I had long ago become nothing more than furniture. What I did next would change everything. The question wasn't whether I would take action, but how far I was willing to go. And trust me, I was just getting started. I walked past Marcus without a word and headed straight to my bedroom. Not to cry or hide, as they probably assumed. I had work to do. I opened the bottom drawer of my dresser and pulled out a leather document holder, the same one I'd used throughout my career. From beneath old bank statements, I retrieved a set of keys and a manila folder secured with a rubber band. My fingers traced the edges of the papers inside. A property deed. A bill of sale from 1987. Transfer documents. Every single one bore the same name, Tenley Ellen Harrison. My name. I was the sole owner of this house, purchased with my own savings after Thomas died. The paper had yellowed with age, but its legal power remained absolute. I caught my reflection in the dresser mirror. Gray hair cut practically short, reading glasses on a beaded chain, comfortable slacks, and a cardigan. I looked exactly like what Marcus thought I was, a harmless grandmother who bakes cookies and asks no questions. That had been my mistake. I'd played the role so well that he'd forgotten I was also a woman who'd spent 4 decades navigating property law and bureaucratic battles. As long as I kept cooking their meals and staying invisible, they felt invincible. The moment I stopped feeding the beast, it would realize how weak it truly was. I returned to the living room. Marcus had the sports channel blaring at full volume. Valencia was clattering dishes in the kitchen, busy work to avoid confrontation. I walked directly to the front door, my heels clicking sharply against the hardwood floor. The sound made Marcus turn his head. "Going somewhere, Tenley?" he called out, smirking around his beer bottle. "Try not to wander off. At your age, you might forget how to get back." I didn't respond. I simply turned the deadbolt, the metallic click echoing through the house. For a brief moment, I took in my surroundings. The watercolor painting of the harbor that I'd hung myself. The antique rug I vacuumed every week. My son-in-law's back as he lounged on my furniture. My daughter's shadow moving silently in the kitchen. I touched the keys in my pocket. The cold metal felt empowering. I walked out and closed the door firmly behind me, like placing a period at the end of a sentence. Outside, the evening air was refreshing. I wasn't cold. I exhaled deeply, locked the front gate from the outside, and walked toward the main road. A taxi appeared within minutes. "Where to?" the driver asked. "The Riverside Hotel, downtown," I replied, pulling out my phone. My fingers trembled slightly as I scrolled through my contacts, not from fear, but from the power I was about to unleash. The call I was about to make would set everything in motion. In the back of the taxi, I found the name I needed, Mitchell J. Patterson, attorney at law. We'd worked in adjacent offices for years, him handling property disputes, me processing deed transfers and title searches. Our professional relationship had been built on mutual respect and precision. "Tenley? It's almost 9:30. Is everything all right?" His voice carried immediate concern. "I've had a wake-up call," I said, watching the city lights blur past. "I need your expertise." "Legal expertise?" "I have court in the morning." "What's the urgency?" "My mental and financial well-being," I replied evenly. "I need to evict 2 tenants from my property." A pause. "But you live with your daughter and her husband." "Precisely." Another pause, longer this time. Mitchell knew my reputation. When others saw gray areas, I saw black and white. "What happened, Tenley?" He shouted, "Move to your bedroom, old lady. This living room belongs to me now." My daughter said nothing. "I left, and I won't return until they're gone." That's verbal abuse, certainly. But you don't need sympathy, do you? You need the law. The house is mine. They've resided there for 3.5 years without any lease agreement, entirely at my expense. I need a formal notice to vacate. I'm terminating their right to occupy my property gratuitously. Personal service of documents is required. I'll send my associate, Daniel Torres. First thing tomorrow morning. He's professional, presentable, and direct. He'll serve the notice properly. Perfect. Standard notice period. 30 days is customary. That works. And include clear language about consequences. 24 hours to understand their new reality. Upon vacating, they'll receive an invoice for fair market rent retroactive to when they moved in, plus penalties for any delay. You're absolutely certain about this? I'm winded, Mitchell. And a winded woman who knows property law is formidable. Prepare the documents. I'll be at your office by 8 o'clock to sign everything before your court appearance. Then send Daniel to my house. The taxi pulled up to the hotel. The doorman opened my door with more courtesy than Marcus had shown me in years. "May I assist with luggage?" he asked. "I only have my purse," I said quietly, and the self-respect I just reclaimed. The hotel room welcomed me with the scent of fresh linens and quiet. A large television faced the bed. I turned on my preferred channel and adjusted the volume to exactly where I wanted it. I ordered French onion soup and a glass of Merlot. I ate slowly, methodically, savoring each bite. I knew their morning routine by heart. Tomorrow, everything would change. But what I didn't expect was how they would react when the doorbell rang. I slept soundly that night, the deep, untroubled sleep of someone who has finally taken control. I woke with the sunrise, showered, and dressed in the same clothes but with a completely different posture. By 7:30, I was in Mitchell Patterson's office. "Signatures here, here, and here," he said, sliding documents across his desk. "Property address. Legal description. Timeline for compliance." Each stroke of my pen felt like a declaration of independence. "Daniel is heading out now," Mitchell said, nodding toward a young man with a professional briefcase. 20 minutes and he'll be at your door." "Excellent." I settled into a chair in the reception area. "I'll wait here." Panic always calls for its mother eventually. The office coffee smelled like hazelnut. The wall clock ticked steadily. Somewhere across town, in my living room, a legal storm was about to break. At 9:45, my phone vibrated. Valencia's name flashed on the screen. I let it ring 3 times before answering. "Mom? Mom, please." Her voice was shrill with panic. "There's a man here, Daniel, somebody with legal papers. Marcus is losing his mind." "What's happening? Where are you?" I held the phone away from my ear to avoid Marcus's shouting in the background. "Daniel is the attorney's assistant," I said calmly. "Ask your husband to lower his voice. Accept the notice, read it carefully, and tell Marcus that the old lady is unavailable for screaming today." "But it says eviction." 30 days. "Mom, have you lost your mind?" "Sarah, for the first time in years, I'm completely sane. Read the document. Follow the instructions. The less shouting, the smoother this process will be." I ended the call. The small red button returned peace to me as easily as turning off a light switch. Mitchell appeared in the doorway. "Your daughter?" I nodded. "The performance has begun. Daniel confirmed successful service. We have photographic evidence and signatures. Now we wait." I remained in that reception chair, sipping coffee that tasted like freedom. I thought about the past 3 years, how I'd made myself small in my own home, how I'd eaten the burnt portions of meals while saving the best for them, how I'd worn headphones to watch television so I wouldn't disturb Marcus's conference calls. But waiting wasn't enough. My next move would cut deeper than any legal notice. They were about to learn that my generosity had limits. I pulled out my notebook and wrote down a simple plan. Step 1, legal action complete. Papers served. Step 2, financial separation, cut off all financial support. Step 3, silence, no arguments, no justifications. Only facts. "Mitchell," I said, "I need to terminate utilities and services." "Which ones?" "Everything in my name. The fiber internet, the cable television with the sports package, the landline phone, and the supplementary credit card Valencia uses for groceries. Not permanent cancellation, just suspension. I can reactivate them when the house is mine alone again." He raised an eyebrow. "That will be felt immediately." "Yesterday was painful," I replied. "Today is merely uncomfortable." "There's a difference." My phone vibrated again. More frantic texts from Valencia. I glanced at them but didn't respond. Today, my silence was the answer. "Is there a clothing store nearby?" I asked, putting my phone away. "The Riverside Mall is 3 blocks away." "What are you planning?" "I'm dressed like a grandmother who bakes cookies," I said, meeting his eyes. I need a uniform for setting boundaries. Mitchell smiled slightly. You're dangerous when you're calm. I'm simply returning to who I used to be. Outside, the morning was crisp and clear. I walked with purpose, my reflection in store windows showing a woman who'd rediscovered her spine. At the mall, I found a clothing boutique with a sales associate named Rachel. I need a professional uniform, I told her. Today I'm establishing boundaries. She returned with navy trousers, a crisp white blouse, and a tan blazer. In the fitting room, everything aligned perfectly. The trousers straightened my posture. The blouse was sharp and clean. The blazer pulled it all together. I added low-heeled leather shoes that clicked purposefully on the tile floor. Box up my old clothes, I told Rachel. Donate them. Let them serve someone else. I sat on a bench outside the store and made my calls. First, the internet provider. I'm the account holder. I need to suspend service at this address. Internet, cable television including sports channels, and the landline. Effective immediately. Reason, property maintenance. Within 2 hours, the signal would be dead. Second, the bank. I'm the primary account holder. I need to freeze the supplementary card issued to Valencia Harrison. Reason, security review. Lower the spending limits and send all notifications only to my phone number. Completed, the representative confirmed. Changes are active now. My phone buzzed almost immediately. A bank notification, transaction declined $92, premium butcher shop. I smiled a brief, unsentimental expression. Another text appeared from Marcus's number. Cards aren't working. Call the bank now. We're at the checkout. I typed a calm response. It's not a malfunction. It's a freeze. The credit and the trust both expired yesterday, along with your game. What happened next caught me completely off guard. My daughter appeared at my hotel, but she wasn't alone in her desperation. I returned to the Riverside Hotel, feeling the satisfying weight of my decisions. The lobby was quiet, smelling of expensive candles and polished wood. In my room, I removed my new shoes, placed the keys on the nightstand. Their metallic jingle now sounded like victory, and turned on a classical music station. I slept for an hour, my body claiming the rest it needed. The phone's sharp ring woke me. Ms. Harrison? This is the front desk. Your daughter is in the lobby. She's requesting to see you urgently. She says it's an emergency. I checked the clock. 4:30 in the afternoon. The perfect time for a clear-headed conversation without nighttime hysteria. I washed my face, smoothed my blazer, and adjusted my glasses chain. The woman in the mirror looked back at me with steady eyes and a straight spine. Tell her I'll be right down. The elevator doors opened to reveal Valencia pacing near the reception desk. Her blouse was wrinkled, her hair falling loose from its clip, dark circles under her eyes. When she saw me in my new blazer, she stopped mid-stride as if she'd walked into an invisible wall. Mom. She took a step forward, then froze. What is all this? The internet is gone. The cable is dead. Marcus is falling apart. Where are you staying? Let's go home. Stop this drama. Sit down, I said, gesturing to an armchair. We're in a respectable establishment. We'll speak calmly. She perched on the edge of the seat, hands twisting together. Mom, let's talk like family. Her voice softened to that placating tone people use with children and the elderly. He just had a rough day yesterday. He already sent you an apology text. Let's go home. I'll make your favorite tea. We'll work this out. I'm not offended, Valencia, I said evenly. I've made a decision. The house is mine. You've lived there for 3.5 years without paying rent. I'm giving you 30 days to find other accommodations. As of today, no utilities in my name will service that address. This isn't revenge. This is order. But he has to work, she protested. He has video calls, deadlines, presentations. You're destroying his career reputation. He can work from a coffee shop, a co-working space, or his mother's house, I countered. The internet, television, and credit card were paid by me. Not anymore. You're not a life-sustaining necessity on my budget. You're an expense I've chosen to eliminate. Her face crumpled. You're humiliating us. Everyone saw at the store today. The card declined. People were staring. Her next words would reveal the truth I'd suspected all along. And what she said about their savings would make my blood run cold. Humiliation, I said quietly, is being ordered out of my own living room. Humiliation is eating burnt toast while leaving the fresh bread for the king. Today, no one is humiliating anyone. Today, everyone pays their own expenses. Sarah tried to defend him. But we were saving money. We had a plan. Marcus said. Where is the money, Valencia? I interrupted. Over 3.5 years, you should have saved nearly $90,000 just on living expenses, utilities, and groceries. Where is it? Her eyes darted away. Her shoulders slumped. He said it was invested in business opportunities. Trading. He promised he'd show me the accounts later. He'll show you tomorrow, I said. 10 o'clock sharp at Mitchell Patterson's office. You're both invited. We'll see exactly what these business opportunities entailed. You hired a lawyer? Against your own family? She looked genuinely shocked. I hired accountability, I replied. Family is built on respect and boundaries. You offered neither, and you'll receive neither. Tomorrow is about facing reality. She was quiet for a moment, then her voice broke. If we leave the house, he's going to divorce me. He said if he doesn't have your house to live in, he doesn't want to be married to me anymore. The words hit like ice water, but they brought perfect clarity. I leaned forward and covered her trembling hands with mine. Sarah, if your marriage is held together by my property and my bank account, that's not a family. That's a hostage situation. And you're the hostage. She jerked her hands away as if I'd burned her. You've become cruel. Old and cruel. I'd become an adult, I said calmly, at 65 years old. You're 37. You have time to do the same. Use it wisely. We sat in silence. In the lobby, someone was playing piano softly in the corner lounge. The melody was something classical and melancholy. Just turn the internet back on, Valencia tried once more. He can't work without it. I can't function without it. No internet, I said firmly. But your voice works perfectly fine. Tomorrow we talk at the attorney's office. Today, silence. Sarah stood up, adjusted her purse strap, searched my face for the soft grandmother she used to manipulate. She found only resolve. She backed toward the exit without another word. Be there at 10 sharp, I called after her. She didn't respond, just pushed through the revolving door and disappeared into the street. I watched her go, and only then did I realize the hardest part was still ahead. Tomorrow's meeting would expose everything. I took the stairs back to my room. I needed the physical movement, the time to process what had just happened. In my room, I turned on the desk lamp and opened my laptop. An email notification blinked from Mitchell Patterson. 10 late notice successfully served. Marcus's corporate legal department has acknowledged receipt. He's been sending aggressive internal emails that were copied to his supervisor. Formal reprimand likely. Both parties confirmed for tomorrow's meeting at 10 a.m. MJP. I closed the laptop. Haste is fierce, sister. The king of the living room was already making critical mistakes. I opened my phone and scrolled to the settings. There it was, the family location tracking app that Marcus had installed years ago for my safety. With one tap, I disabled it. Geolocation access denied flashed across the screen. Good. My location was mine again. I took the keys from my purse and spread them across the nightstand. They caught the lamplight, gleaming like small promises. Outside, the city stretched out in a grid of lights. The air conditioning hummed steadily. I sat on the edge of the bed and felt it, not triumph, not anger. Just order. Clean, clear order. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, a conference room door would open. 3 people would walk in: Marcus, Valencia, and the law. Only one of those would be on my side. I thought about the papers Mitchell would present. The property deed with my name alone. The notice of termination. The calculation of fair market rent they should have been paying. The documentation of every utility bill, every grocery expense, every small favor that had added up to tens of thousands of dollars. I thought about Valencia's face when she realized how much money Marcus had lost. I thought about Marcus's face when he realized his kingdom had been made of my generosity, and generosity can be withdrawn. I ordered room service, a Caesar salad and herbal tea. I ate slowly, watching the evening news with the volume at a comfortable level. My level. Not too loud, not muted. Just right. Before bed, I reviewed my documents one more time. Everything was in order. Every signature in place. Every deadline clearly marked. I set my alarm for 6:30. Tomorrow would require my full attention and energy. When morning came, I dressed in my armor of navy and white. But nothing could have prepared me for what Marcus would try to pull in that conference room. The conference room was climate-controlled and formal. I asked to sit at the head of the table. To my right sat Mitchell Patterson, his folders arranged with military precision. My driver's license, the property deed, and the termination notice lay before me like weapons. My uniform today was simple but deliberate. The tan blazer, direct eye contact, and legal documents. My armor wasn't made of metal, it was made of paperwork and property law. The door clicked. The paralegal murmured, "They've arrived." Marcus entered first, his usual swagger replaced by visible exhaustion. Wrinkled dress shirt, tie loosened like a noose, shadows under his eyes. Behind him, Valencia clutched her purse to her chest, her gaze fixed on the floor. "Please be seated," Mitchell said in his courtroom voice, deep and final. "I'm not here for pleasantries," Marcus snapped immediately, yanking out a chair. "This whole show is ridiculous. We've lived there for years. We have rights." I looked at him over my glasses, pausing deliberately to let his anger fill the room and expose itself. "Rights are precisely why we're here," I said calmly. "The house is my sole property. You've been occupying it by my permission. I've revoked that permission. The notice is on the table. You have 30 days. There's something called adverse possession," he shot back, the words tumbling out too quickly. "We've been living there openly, like owners. Have you even consulted the law?" "I have," I replied with a slight smile. "I worked with it for 38 years. Adverse possession requires the actual owner to be absent, non-paying, and non-objecting. I live there. I pay all expenses. And I'm objecting right now. You're not owners. You're temporary residents whose welcome has expired. Marcus's jaw clenched. He looked to Mitchell for support. The notice is legally proper, Mitchell confirmed smoothly. Service was executed correctly. Upon expiration of the deadline, we'll file a lawsuit for eviction and recovery of fair market rent retroactive to your move-in date. This is illegal. Marcus's voice rose. She cut off our internet, our credit access. That's emotional abuse. I'm filing a countersuit. Internet is not a life-sustaining utility, Mitchell replied without blinking. If you want internet service, you're free to contract it yourself and pay the monthly fees. Sarah, tell her. Marcus jabbed his finger toward my daughter. Tell her she's destroying our family. Sarah's lips trembled. Tears welled in her eyes. But she remained silent. I slid a folder across the polished table toward her. Let the document speak, I said quietly. Inside that folder was evidence that would shatter everything Valencia believed about her marriage. What Marcus had been hiding would change her life forever. Marcus, I said, opening the folder, for 3.5 years, you claimed to be saving for a condominium. By your own calculations, you should have accumulated nearly $90,000 just from living expenses, utilities, and groceries alone. Where is that money? Business investments, he said, attempting a smirk. Trading? Leveraged positions. You older folks wouldn't understand modern finance. I prefer specifics. I pulled documents from the folder: 3 loan default notices with official stamps, a broker statement showing a margin call, and an account balance summary. The final number was circled in red, $4,287.00. Marcus lunged for the papers, but Mitchell's hand reached them first. Please, Mitchell said firmly. Let your wife review them first. Sarah took the documents with shaking fingers. Her eyes scanned the lines, the figures, the dates. I watched the exact moment comprehension hit. Her shoulders collapsed inward. Her mouth opened slightly. One heavy tear rolled down her cheek, not from sadness, but from cold realization. 0, she whispered. Less than 0. It's negative. Yes, I said, softer but still firm. Nothing was saved. Instead, there were sports betting losses, day trading disasters, $92 stakes charged to my credit card, and imported craft beer. All funded by me. I would have made it back. Marcus exploded. The market cycles. I just needed one more cash infusion, one more opportunity. And that's why you needed my living room? I raised an eyebrow. To lose louder? To send me to my bedroom while you gambled away what you claimed to be saving? He clenched his fists, his eyes wild with a mixture of rage and fear. I'm your son-in-law. Family is supposed to support each other. Family is built on respect and boundaries, I replied. You offered neither. You'll receive neither. I stood up. The movement was small, but everyone straightened in response. Terms, I stated, my words clipped and clear. 30 days to vacate. Internet, cable, and credit card access will not be restored. If I hear any shouting when I return to collect my belongings, I'll immediately contact the police and file a harassment report. We'll see how potential employers view that, combined with the formal reprimand from your current company. Marcus slumped in his chair as if someone had removed his internal framework. Valencia covered her face with both hands. The air conditioning's hum became the loudest sound in the room. One more thing, I turned to Valencia directly. Over the next 30 days, you have a choice to make. You can either continue drowning alongside a man who lied and destroyed your financial future, or you can swim to the surface. I am your mother, but I'm not a bank and not a free restaurant. Sarah's hand slowly lowered from her face. What she said next would determine everything. Sarah lowered her hands from her face. For the first time in years, she looked directly at me, really looked at me, not through me or past me. But if... Her voice cracked, hoarse and raw. If I have nowhere to go. You'll find somewhere, I said. You have a job. You earn a salary. Rent a studio apartment. Sell that expensive SUV. Open your own bank accounts. Manage your own life. I paid for my lessons in full. I won't pay for yours. I gathered my papers and placed them neatly in my folder. Mitchell stood as well, buttoning his suit jacket. This meeting is concluded, Mitchell announced. All further communication will be handled in writing through my office. My associate Daniel will be your point of contact. I walked around the table. As I passed Marcus, I stopped for half a second. You can control the remote of your own life as much as you want, I said quietly. But it doesn't work on my house anymore. In the hallway outside, the light seemed cleaner, the air easier to breathe. I walked toward the elevator and heard the scrape of a chair behind the closed conference room door. Valencia's muffled sob. Marcus's sharp curse. The elevator doors opened, and I stepped inside. Mitchell joined me. You handled that perfectly, he said. I handled that honestly, I corrected. Perfect would have been unnecessary. Back at the hotel, I ordered lunch, a Greek salad and sparkling water. I ate on the small balcony overlooking the river, watching boats drift by. My phone stayed silent for 2 hours. Then, a text from Valencia. We're looking at apartments. Can we talk? I typed back, 30 days means 30 days. Actions first. Conversation after. I didn't hear from Marcus at all. That silence told me everything. That evening, I called Mitchell. What happens if they refuse to leave after 30 days? We file for formal eviction. It goes before a judge. With your documentation, it's open and shut. They'll be legally removed, and you can pursue the rent claim. And if they leave voluntarily, then it ends quietly. No court record. No public filing. Clean break. I prefer clean breaks, I said. I thought you might. I spent the evening reading a novel I'd purchased from the hotel gift shop, something about a woman who sailed around the world alone. It seemed appropriate. 24 days remained. Each day brought me closer to reclaiming my home. But on day 18, something happened that no legal document could have prepared me for. The call came on day 18. Mitchell's name on my phone screen at 7 in the morning. They're gone, he said simply. Daniel drove by this morning. The SUV is missing. Curtains are open. It appears they vacated. My heart did something complicated, relief mixed with unexpected sadness. I'll be there in an hour, I said. I dressed carefully. The same tan blazer, but with comfortable shoes this time. I packed my small suitcase, checked out of the hotel, and took a taxi to my house. Our house. My house. The front gate stood open. I walked up the familiar path, keys in hand. The door was unlocked. I pushed it open slowly. The living room was empty, not just of people, but of their belongings. The couch remained because it was mine. My burgundy armchair sat exactly where I'd left it. But Marcus's gaming equipment was gone. Valencia's decorative pillows had vanished. The space felt larger, quieter. On the kitchen counter sat a folded piece of paper with my name on it. Valencia's handwriting. Mom, we found a 2-bedroom apartment across town. Marcus's, we're trying to figure things out. I'm opening my own bank account this week. I'm sorry for the silence. I'm sorry for not standing up. I don't know if you can forgive me. I don't know if I can forgive myself. But I'm trying to swim now. Like you said. Valencia. I folded the note carefully and placed it in my pocket. I walked through every room. They'd taken only what was theirs: clothes, personal items, Marcus's electronics. Everything I'd purchased, everything that belonged to the house, remained. They'd even washed the dishes and emptied the trash. In my bedroom, the light streamed through clean windows. I opened them, letting fresh air sweep through. I could hear birds outside. When had I stopped hearing birds? I made coffee in my kitchen. Real coffee, brewed slowly, filling the house with its aroma. I carried the mug to my burgundy armchair, sat down, picked up the remote control, and turned on the television to exactly the volume I wanted. For the first time in 3.5 years, I was home. Truly home. My phone buzzed. A text from Valencia, "Thank you." I typed back, "You're welcome. Call me when you're ready to talk." Really talk. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then reappeared. Finally, maybe next week. Coffee? I'd like that, asterisk asterisk, I replied. I set the phone down and sipped my coffee. The afternoon sun slanted through the windows, warming the hardwood floors. The house settled around me with familiar creaks and sighs. I thought about what I'd learned. That boundaries aren't cruel, they're necessary. That love without respect isn't love at all. That documents and dignity can coexist. That sometimes the bravest thing you can do is reclaim what was always yours. I was 65 years old, and I was finally home.